Hey guys, welcome to Vanishing Gates. I'm Jay, your host into the strange, the unexplained, the astronomically weird, joined via Skype, or however they pronounce it, is, hey Paco from the road. Hey guys in chat, or gays, or guys, or goys, or joys, or I don't know. I don't speak English anymore. I have a speech impediment that has become more pronounced as I've grown older. It's pretty awesome. It's always been the same hairline. What's wrong with you? And I also have eyebrows. Jokes be damned, son. Alright, so now we're doing a different thing because Paco's... Hi, Bridget in chat. Nice to see you. Oh, James is joining us too. Hey, James. Cigar, the show's a little different here because I have one here and Paco has one there. I'm kind of pissed because Paco has a much better cigar of the show. Mine is a PDR VLR Maduro Churchill. What do you got there, Paco? You some bitch. Apparently, Paco is not audible. Is anyone else unable to hear Paco? Because I'm trying to figure this out. You're on. I'm just trying to figure out where... 1 second, guys. I'm trying to figure out where the sound is for this device. I don't even know. Perhaps that one? Talk now, Paco. Let's see if they can hear you. Oh, there you go. Can you guys hear Paco now? In chat? Keep in mind, guys, chat is substantially behind where we are in, you know, our conversation. Anybody? Anyway, so our topic of the show tonight is going to be fun. It's part 1 of a series. I do say. We are doing a series on urban legends because we always like to do series stuff around like holiday seasons. We do a Christmas series. You know, Halloween series, whatnot, Beltane, all this kind of thing. We like to do more than one episode laced together. But we wanted to tackle urban legends this time. So we are going to have a multiple-part series. Not sure how many parts, but we'll have a series. I hope so, because honestly, it would suck if it didn't. Hold on. Take the headset off. Can't hear Paco. Unplug it. Hardly hear you at all. We are having some serious freaking sound issues. I'm not really sure why. That is not surprising. I don't know either. Our tech guy is busy, so let's try this. How about now? Can everyone hear Paco now?
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Can you guys hear Paco now? Keep talking, Seth. Keep talking, Paco. We're trying to get this done.
Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Don't sing that. Alright, now here we are. Is there a bad echo, guys, in chat? I need to know that too, because that could also be a problem.
Can they hear me?
I don't know. Now we can hear Paco. Whoa, it's a thing.
Hey.
We're doing a show now. Oh, man. Alright, guys, so I do want to break this down I want to talk about a couple things now that we can all hear Paco and each other. We are on iTunes, Podbean, and Spotify. Or not Spotify. We're not on Spotify. Stitcher, not Spotify. But it's super weird because it doesn't seem to be working for anyone trying to find us. Now, when I look on iTunes, I can find Vanishing Gates no problem. Not sure why no one else seems to be able to do that, but that's the thing. What I'm
using two G's when they type in Vanishing Gates.
Well, it's 2 words, Vanishing Gates. So I got to look at that, and maybe I don't know. I got to contact customer service or whatever because I haven't figured this out yet. But so when it shows up finally for you, search it. I guess I had to manually search it myself and found it, and then do that and then like it and follow it, and that might show up more often. Maybe it's because we're so new. I don't know. I think we have about 16 episodes up now because I've been putting older episodes on. I'm not really sure how it all works with that. So please, share that if you can find it and whatnot. That'd be really awesome. All right, so good. No echo, Paco, with the headphones unplugged. We are good. We're golden.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear.
Another thing I want to say is today I attended a memorial service for a friend of mine. So years ago, I worked in the bar scene, and I met a guy who was the DJ at the time. And you meet people in your life that are just, they're awesome people, and this is that guy. He's the embodiment of that. The beautiful heart and nature, and he's since passed away. So I went to his memorial service today, and I was really touched because I kind of forgot that he was one of the first guys to promote the show when I first started. And his wife today mentioned to me that one of the things when I walked up, she was like, keep making the videos, keep doing the show. I still watch it. And so I didn't realize at all. I thought it was a friendly gesture that he was doing. And I didn't realize that he and his wife actually watched and listened to the show. And it touched my heart very deeply. So that's a big plus. So DJ Ray Hernandez, I'm going to miss you, man. You're still looking out for us, and I appreciate that so much. And, so it's been kind of a weird day for me. But we are here with Paco. We are going to get into our topic of urban legends. Because we're approaching that. Yeah, we're approaching that season of miracles. We're in the season of miracles. We're like a damned week away from Halloween, bro.
Yeah, man, it's getting close. It's getting real close. It's starting to feel a little Halloweenish over here on my end.
I am usually way more prepared for this, but with transitioning jobs and whatnot and everything else going on, I'm dropping the ball, guys. I'm sorry. But we do want to talk about urban legends because everyone has them. Everyone has heard something like this. There's been something that ties in. So, Paco, you want to explain what an urban legend is?
As far as I can tell, an urban legend is more along the lines of like a fairy tale or even a story that has been told over time and has been told in like the same way, but kind of like been altered a little bit as time goes on.
Well, yeah, a lot of the time it's so an urban legend is something that gets passed around, or it's like a friend of a friend had an experience, or I knew someone that had an experience, or I heard this story. And so I want to break back the first urban legend I ever encountered. When I was a young kid, my dad sat me down and told me the story about this couple that drove down to Lover's Lane, and they encountered something very frightening. I'm sure a lot of you guys know where we're going with this. So
yeah, my first date on Lover's Lane screamed and ran out of the car too.
Well, it's only because you had a hook hooked to your hand. I mean, it's weird. Spoilers? So, you guys, the hook hand story. My dad told a story in a very menacing fashion. It mortified the crap out of me as a child. And it stuck with me for a long time. And so the story goes that a couple drives out to Lover's Lane, a guy and a gal. They park over, they're getting busy, they're having some fun, and there's different variants of the story, but the main part is the guy gets out of the car to do something. Either the car breaks down, or he has to take a piss or whatever, and he leaves the girl in the car, and she's listening to the radio. And over the radio comes the story that either a lunatic from an asylum has escaped, or a felon from a prison, whatever you'd have, escapes, and they have a hook for a hand. Guy gets back in the car, and she's freaked out and wants to go. So she is scraping on the door because he's still trying to get busy. He's still trying to have fun. He doesn't want some weird fucking convict cock blocking him. So he tries to push it. He tries to push it away, but she relents, and she pushes on him. It's like, hey, no. She doesn't relent, but she keeps, hey, no, we got to go. I hear something scratching on my door. We got to go right now. So he takes her home, and goes to open the door for her to let her out at her house, and finds a hook on the door handle of the car on her side, on the passenger door handle. So, I mean, it goes around in a lot of different ways. These have been in so many scary storybooks. And Bridget in chat says this was in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I loved that book as a kid. Yes, it was. M says, hi, Paco. Long time no see. Anyway. So, the hook is on the door handle. Now, there are other very darker derivatives of the story. There's stories of the gal getting out, or the guy getting out, and hearing a thump on the top of her car, and the man being dismembered all over the place, and her taking off after hearing the story, and whatnot. For me, all stories have a bit of truth there somewhere in the history. You know what I mean? Like, something caused this story to become viral, if you will, because viral's the new thing. Viral video and, Bigfoot footage and ghost footage now is a huge thing. And it's become kind of a problem. But, again, all things seem to be based on a true story or something that actually happened. Well, the story itself started spreading, the hook hand story started spreading about the 1950s. But it wasn't until the first known publication in a Dear Abby column in November 8th, 1960, where someone actually wrote the story down, sent it to the Dear Abby columnist, or whoever that was. Somebody gave advice to people and whatnot. And it spread like wildfire from there. Now, there is the real life part of it comes from a thing. It's pretty dark. Yeah, I'm back to my notes, guys. Give me a break. The Phantom Killer. So in Texarkana, between February 22nd, 1944 and May 3rd, 1946, there was someone going around attacking or killing people. I say attacking or killing because some people did survive. It was a very horrible situation, and a lot of bad things happened. 5 people were killed and 3 people were wounded. The media referred to it as the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. So the first couple did survive the attack, and they said that the attacker wore like a white cloth mask of some fashion. I don't know if it's a pillowcase with eyes cut out or a piece of cloth over your face or whatever. And he wore that and then attacked him. That actually inspired a movie. The 1976 film, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Now, the crimes were never solved. So, it leaves it open. Even every year around that time, Texarkana actually does someone, for some reason, does a re-showing of The Town That Dreaded Sunlight. And people from Texarkana have been quoted saying, well, I guess, this history just won't die for this. We'll just be known for this forever, which is kind of shitty, but it did happen. So the question is, was this a fable, like the hook hand thing? They link it directly. I actually watched a documentary that linked it directly to this. Now, the guy used a gun in those murders, and the Midnight Murders or whatever, and not a hook, but still they've tied it together in a way, and I don't know. So was this murder? Was it just like a don't go do something stupid? Because that's what fables and fairy tales are about, right? Not letting your kids go do something stupid, like warning you. It's a don't do this, like the Big Bad Wolf thing with Red Riding Hood. And,
it's totally possible for it to be completely true. You know, I mean, having a hook for a hand is something that has been around for a really long time.
Prosthetics,
also,
yeah.
Also, is the murderers have been around for a really long time. So, I mean, to have those two things combined into one, you know, is totally not impossible, and it's probably highly probable. You know, whether or not this specific story derived from a serial hook and murder on Lover's Lane, you know, I don't think we'll ever actually know, but you know, I think it's highly possible for this to be a true story.
Well, see, where I land in the whole, I think that it came from a situation where something happened, and the parents use that as a warning tale for the kids. And that's what urban legends are really about. It's about, if you're a kid telling it, it's about scaring the shit out of your friends. But if it's a parent telling it, or someone you know older telling it, it's more of a warning sign. It's like we all read all those fairy tales from back in the day. You know, like, hey, so what do you do? Hansel and Gretel, what do? You don't go in the woods alone. Even if you leave a breadcrumb trail, you can still get turned into food. Avoid strangers. So it's a deeper psychological thing than that. Like, you want to avoid certain things. It's more of a teaching tale. To me, I could be wrong. I don't know. And guys in chat, let me know what you think. Yeah, Bridget in chat, the hook hand story was probably fabricated to warn off teenagers from having car sex. You know what? That's totally kind of the agreed upon idea there. That said, it never stopped me from having sex in cars. I wasn't a teenager when I was doing it, but you know. So yeah. You need wooden matchsticks for your cigars. James, don't tell me how to live my life. It's also in chat. Hey guys in chat, thank you very much, by the way, for watching the show still, for staying with us for so long. We're almost on 2 years, and we really love you and appreciate it.
That's quite a long time.
Yeah, let me know when all the iTunes and stuff goes through where you can actually find it. That'd be great. And don't forget, guys, when we hit 500 likes on the Facebooks, Paco here has to buy some t-shirts for folks.
Yay! And I don't even think it's likes. I think it's 500
followers. Likes and follows. It has to be likes and follows. And we're close on both. And I'm not counting Twitter. I'm not counting Twitter. Just the Facebook. To be fair to Paco.
That's right.
Because you guys are awesome.
Just Facebook. No, absolutely.
Bridget says, down with sexual oppression. Word. Don't judge me. Anyway.
All right, so
your turn.
My turn?
Yeah, you got this.
All right, so I'm gonna go dark here, and I'm going to pull this up. So Jay decided that he was gonna go along the theme of Halloween and keeping everything kind of, on the somewhat scary side, and so I figured I'd go humor, and so I just have a story. It's just a funny urban legend that I came across. And if I remember correctly, we need to cite our
sources,
resources, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's good.
The stories that I'm actually reading from is from thoughtco.com. And so that's the website that I'll be reading from.
Sounds like a completely legit site.
Yeah. So the first humorous urban legend that I figured I would want to talk about is called the cigar arsonist, and I thought this might have been like a really good story, seeing how we open up the show with cigars.
Bro, really? Cigars?
Just kind of our thing. Yeah. And so I'll read the story here. So a man in Charlotte, North Carolina, had purchased a case of rare, very expensive cigars, went to an insurance company to have them insured against fire. Within a month, having smoked his entire stockpile of fabulous cigars and having yet to make a single premium payment on the policy, the man filed a claim against the insurance policy. In his claim, the man stated that he had lost the cigars in a series of small fires. The insurance company refused to pay.
No.
Refused to pay, citing the obvious reasons that the man had consumed the cigars in a normal fashion. Hold on one second.
I'm going to start insuring my cigars.
I'm at a stop sign, so please forgive me for the pause.
You're still driving?
Yes, sir. I'm still
I thought you pulled over.
No, I don't have enough time to pull over. I needed to continue.
Come on, son.
And so what did the man do after the insurance company didn't want to pay? He sued him. And what happened when he sued him? He won. And so, in delivering his ruling, the judge stated that since the man held a policy from the company in which it had warranted the cigars were insurable and also guaranteed the cigars would be insured against fire, without defining what it considered to be an unacceptable fire, it was obligated to compensate the insured for his loss. So, I mean, this guy kind of just like freaking just pulled one over on the insurance company, you know?
Okay, so this is an urban legend because of how? Did this happen?
Here we go. Rather than endure a lengthy and costly appeal process, the insurance company grudgingly accepted the judge's ruling and paid the man $15,000 for rare cigars he lost in the fires. After the man cashed his check, however, the insurance company had him arrested on 24 counts of arson. With his own insurance claim and testimony from previous case being used as evidence against him, the man was convicted of intentionally burning the rare cigars and sentenced to 24 consecutive one-year terms.
All right, so that's funny.
Yeah, so I think what they're doing here is I think the urban legend, of it is, how much the story actually progressed over time being told, and if really he actually, was sentenced, or if he was sentenced the way that they're saying here, how the story had progressed over time. I think that's where the urban legend is coming, where they're getting their urban legend from. Well,
I mean, it's a good story. Like I could make so much money back on cigars.
Right, absolutely.
Because I'm burning down my investments every time I have one of these fellas. Good Lord. Yeah, it's a good urban legend, and I'm glad that you wanted to do this. Spice my horrible stuff with some nicer, more, some more levity. Because now we're going to talk about.
Wait until my next one.
Oh, with bated breath, good sir. So my next one, Bloody Mary, Candyman, and Mary Worth. Now, I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure all of you know this. This is a stupid thing to say. You guys all know about the Bloody Mary story, or the I Believe in Mary Worth, or the Candyman story from the movie. Basically, you look in the mirror and you say Bloody Mary 3 times, and this apparition shows up to haunt you or torment you or whatnot. The Mary Worth one is a little more obscure. If you're not from Chicago, you might not know what this is. So my friends in Chicagoland, this little bit's for you. So Mary Worth, or the Chicago Witch, during the Civil War, she was said to use kidnapped slaves for rituals. And she lived on Old Wagon Road, I guess. I don't know Chicago, I've never been there. But basically, she was part of that reverse, the reverse underground railroad movement where people were very surprised that slavery was still happening. So open, or well, not openly, but in Illinois and stuff, and places like that, in free states. Well, this gal was said to actually kidnap free slaves and use them for rituals. So, in Chicago, you might have said to whatever, look in the mirror and say, I believe in Mary Worth, versus Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, or Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. And there are other ones too. Now, even older versions of the story, though, go back to like I think it's the Victorian age, where gals would actually walk up a flight of stairs backwards holding a mirror, looking into a mirror, walking up a flight of stairs backwards with a candle, and they would do this Bloody Mary, whatever they were asking for, and they would hope to see their future husband. Now, if they didn't see their future husband, they might see the Grim Reaper or a skull or whatnot, noting that that's like the sign that they would die before they were ever married. So it's based on divination, basically. They were trying to, what's the word? Scrying. You know what scrying is? It's like looking into a crystal ball and whatnot, looking into a dark mirror or a mirror, trying to get something out of it. It's not like using dowsing rods. It's not like using tarot cards or rune stones. Scrying is much different. It's just staring into something, asking a question, or trying to communicate with the universe and get your answer. In my understanding, I could be totally wrong, but I think I'm accurate on that one. Now, actually, Joseph Smith, the guy that wrote the Book of Mormon, that's how he got the Book of Mormon, was by scrying. He put his head in a hat and then dictated what he saw to someone else. So there are people that are scared about mirrors and whatnot, and there's people that are scared of falling into mirrors. Now, there's a psychological thing that does happen. What's it called? Actually, I have an actual excerpt to read for you guys. Good grief, I'm tired. I should probably sleep before I do these shows sometimes. So this is from Psychology Today. The excerpt is from Macklin Stanley, and the title is "Monsters in the Mirror." No, really, literal monsters. And the subtitle is "Scientific Study Confirms Some of Our Frightening Superstitions with Mirrors." And it goes on to say this. It's just an excerpt, guys. For most, particularly those with a tendency towards self-deprecation, which is literally every human I know that isn't I don't know. Staring into a mirror is not an experience deemed wholly pleasurable. Yet, what most people don't realize is that gazing into a mirror under the right conditions can be downright terrifying. Pardon my gesticulations, guys. Various Halloween-related folklore and games such as Bloody Mary, go figure, have given us insights into the frightening potential of mirrors. But an article published in Perceptions in 2010 has lent some actual empirical and scientific credence to these ghoulish superstitions. In the study conducted by Dr. Caputo of the University of Urbino, I can't pronounce that, guys, if I say it wrong, I'm sorry. Participants were asked to stare into a mirror in dim lighting for 10 minutes. Results demonstrated that 66% of participants experienced huge deformations of their own face, 28% saw an unknown person, and 48% saw fantastical and monstrous beings. These surprising results beg the question, how can staring into a mirror possibly cause our faces to shapeshift into unknown and potentially terrifying deformations? And the answer lies in our brain's penchant for selective processing. In simple terms, our brains can only handle so much information at a time. Right now, as you're reading this article, or as I am, you probably aren't noticing the feeling of your clothes against your skin, the pattern of your breath, or any of the delicate sounds around you. Your brain simply turns a blind eye to these various stimuli in order to better focus on what it deems the most important right now. And there's right now these words. Our sense of sight works no differently. When faced with an abundance of visual stimulation, only some of which is considered relevant, our brains will tune out the non-relevant parts. This phenomenon is termed the Troxler effect, discovered long ago in 1804 by a physician and philosopher named Ignaz Troxler. It is this effect that underlies many of the optical illusions you can find on the internet. Stare at a red dot in the middle of a circle for long enough, and suddenly the outside circle fades away and disappears. This is because your brain has deemed the outer edges irrelevant, and it has lessened its processing burden by simply fading out our perceptual domain. I thought that was a good little excerpt from an article. So here's a good experiment, guys. If you go into a bathroom or wherever you have a mirror and dim the lights and look into the mirror and just stare at it. Don't do anything else. Just stare at the mirror. Focus on the image. You're going to have a hallucination or something like that. It's a thing that actually happens. For real. I mean, it's
just like
the
Troxler.
Troxler.
Like a new teen challenge, like eating Tide Pods.
No, this is explaining why the Bloody Mary thing might have come into effect. Now, that said, who really knows? I don't know. There could be some demonic presence. I mean, you're using divination. You brought like dark mirrors and whatnot, and scrying. So you don't know. But if you're just looking at the mirror and not trying to summon anything, you'll see your face change. And I did this earlier. I looked in the mirror with the lights dimmed, and I saw muscles twitch and spasm in my face that I didn't know what happened. I know that I have a partial facial paralysis, which is part of my speech impediment that most people don't realize. But I realize it very heavily because I know when it happened. I remember when it started. And looking at that, I can see things moving in my face that I didn't think was going to happen. And I noticed it. I paid attention to the muscle patterns, because your face is full of muscles. Small muscles, but they're there, and covered in fat like my big fat cheeks. But you do notice it. That's what I was focusing on. I was focused on my face, and it did change. That's the thing. Now, some people who have serious psychological disorders or dysphorias, they see other things totally different. Now, for me, as a person who as a child had epilepsy, I'm really into neurology, and I really appreciate how the brain works. And it was the mercury from the hats that gave them those stories, hence the term Mad Hatter, says D. James Cotsums. James, what are you talking about? I missed something. Bridget says, brain science is cool, but I'm biased. Nah. I must have missed something in chat. Guys, keep in mind, chat, I only get so much of the story because it doesn't always go through. So, but in my experience, that makes sense, the Troxler effect, because, you know, you see a certain part of yourself, and when you look at yourself, there's also a study that said that if you saw yourself in person, you wouldn't recognize yourself directly. And maybe that's part of the doppelganger thing. That's an even crazier part. We can go into a whole nother episode. But, you know, that Psychology Today thing was pretty cool. And there's also the self-hypnosis. The self-hypnosis part of it that's pretty awesome. That can also fit into there, too. So, dysphoria is definitely a part of this, it seems like. But, could be just demons in a mirror. I'm not saying it's aliens. It's obviously aliens.
It might be Bigfoot.
It might be Bigfoot. Bigfoot aliens. Bigfoot. I've heard that Bigfoot are aliens. All right, Paco, what's your next one?
That is actually a pretty interesting story, though. I mean, it would be something that I would try to attempt, to see, what I can see.
And it's not like
it's a fun experiment.
I mean, divination's one thing, like casting stones, rolling bones, and whatnot, playing with the Ouija board. But just looking at yourself in the mirror, not trying to find anything, but just looking at what happens. That's a scientific experiment.
Right.
That's not.
Yeah, no, it's definitely.
It's legit.
I think that'd be fun. All right, so my next story, which I think is actually the funniest one that I came across, and I'm hoping it serves justice here. And even if it's not an urban legend, it's just a funny story. So I'm gonna go dark again, and once again, this story comes from thoughtco.com, and this story is called "The Wrong Bank." starts off as one night shortly after midnight, two robbers broke into a bank. They expected to find one or two large safes filled with the cash and valuables. Instead, they were surprised to see hundreds of smaller safes scattered throughout the bank. The robbers cracked the first safe, and inside they found only a bowl of vanilla pudding. As recorded on the bank's audio tape system, one robber said, "At least we'll have a bit to eat." The robbers opened up a second safe, and it also contained nothing but vanilla pudding. The process continued until all the safes were open. They found not £1 sterling, a diamond, or an ounce of gold. Instead, all the safes contained covered bowls of pudding. Disappointed, the robbers made a quiet exit, each leaving with nothing more than a queasy, uncomfortably full stomach. The newspaper headline read, "Ireland's largest sperm bank robbed earlier this morning."
Oh. Okay, that's funny. Also, I don't know from experience, but I'm guessing it probably doesn't taste like vanilla. Tossing that out there.
I don't think it would either.
From what I've heard, it's very salty.
I guess they have a different spin on vanilla pudding. I don't know.
All these flavors. Paco chooses to be salty. Killing me, Smalls. That's good. That's funny. I think it's just a joke. I think we need to educate Paco on what urban legend means.
It might be, but I thought it was still pretty funny. I'm gonna go from a different website the next time.
Bridget says, "Ew." Word. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh is right. The hell. How do you? First of all, like, I gotta dissect the story for a second. I've never been to a sperm bank, but I'm 100% sure they're not built like Wells Fargo. Like, I highly doubt that you go to a teller and be like, "Hey, I need to check out my safety deposit box." No. Scotty, no.
That brings in a whole other meeting, the safety deposit box.
Oh, dude. James in chat says baby gravy. You're a bad man, James.
Oh my god.
Oh
man, it's just funny.
Oh.
Funny.
Oh. We gotta find a way to reel us back for the next story.
I'm just trying to think, like, what made you, what makes you think that a sperm bank looks anything like an actual bank, especially with hundreds of safes, I mean, that just doesn't, like, they must have drank a lot over there in Ireland that morning, that night,
Dude, now, like, I've drank a lot in my life. Never been that drunk.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
So funny.
Urban legends. This is why it's urban legends. I think it's more of just an internet joke than an urban legend, but I guess it's kind of the same thing. It's like a creepypasta almost. What do you think? Do you think creepypastas are like the new urban legends?
I don't know.
Herbie. I think so, man. Like the Slender Man thing. Like, what do you think? Black Eyed Kids and whatnot, the BEKs? Is this the new urban legends?
I mean, I guess it could be, we've been over that all before, and, as much as we've tried to debunk stories in the past on the show, I mean, these stories just keep on going through time after time, and I believe so, just like...
they keep Cyndi Laupering.
Yeah, just like, what was that one story that we did about the evil car, and the car parts. And
Oh,
stuff like
the
that.
Little Bastard, James Dean's car. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't think it's an
Bastard,
urban legend.
that's like,
It's more like that's.
at some point, that's going to turn into an urban legend, you know?
Well, as Stephen King did Christine, it's not really an urban legend, though. I think urban legends are meant more for like a. Again, so I.
The Headless Horseman is an urban legend, and we all know there was no such thing as a Headless Horseman.
Well, you don't know. You weren't there.
Right, exactly. So, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was made up, though.
Hold on. In chat, Bridget, our Dr. Bridget. I'm writing up a case while watching this, and I hope I'm not so tired that I end up writing parts of the fucked up shit you guys are saying into the write-up. Well, babe, it is around the season of miracles. It's Halloween time for us.
Make sure you proofread that so there's no vanilla pudding comments in there.
Oh, M. Miles says you should get the viewers and yourselves together and make a new urban legend. I don't know if you can make an urban legend per se. I think you got to base it off. Oh, I have one. We're doing this, guys. Email me what you guys think we should do as an urban legend. Check out the Vanishing Gates viewer discussion group on Facebook, and we'll build an urban legend together and see if it goes viral. That's going to be phenomenal. That's a great idea. I lost my train of thought. Damn it.
Dude, I told you, man.
Not a surprise. This is the best part of the show, man. Like, we're not like the most informational folks. We have information splattered with fun. Much like that wrong bank situation.
I need to memorize that story just to tell it as a joke for later on in life.
Just start calling it the Irish fun splatter story. It works the same.
I think they named it pretty good. The wrong bank. You know, I think they named it pretty good.
I'm 100% sure that all porn titles are urban legends. I'm in chat. You think someone actually saw a headless horseman? No, I think someone misidentified a horseman with a very hunkered down shoulder stature like this. Folks on the podcast, because you're not watching the live stream. I ducked my head down really low. Yeah, it's probably accurate. Or there was a headless horseman. We talked about this in the Irish lore for last year. We talked about this. What was it called? There's an Irish headless horseman. I don't know, Paco, do you remember that? You guys can go back and look at the episode where we talked about Irish lore, and that was one of the things we talked about. I think it was St. Patty's Day. We talked about it. Can't remember what the term was.
Oh my God, St. Patty's Day. I'm supposed to remember St. Patty's Day.
I can't even remember yesterday. I just remember talking about it. I should remember the name though. Red beard and whatnot. But yeah.
Wasn't this year that we did the St. Patty's Day over there at the Eureka Hotel?
No, we did that different. That was different.
That was
We're not supposed to talk about it because the owners don't want us to talk about the fact they're haunted because they don't like ghosts. Which I totally respect.
We're not supposed to say that, you know, their rooms have electrical problems and stuff.
Yeah, the one room, the Stephen King room.
Right.
Anyway, so, alright, I do have another urban legend to talk about here. Something that I've heard growing up. It's actually impacted my life personally. And literally everyone I've known's life. The urban legend of tainted Halloween candy. I'm ready for the chat to blow up with, oh, I know someone that had this happen to them. But you guys know what I'm talking about. Finding razor blades in your candy. Having your parents check your candy because there's razor blades or drugs. Or they give you stickers that were laced with LSD. All this other crap. Okay, we know this. We've all heard this. First of all, there's never been a police report, ever, that anyone can find stating that ever happened. That random strangers gave it to random trick-or-treaters drugged up or razor bladed or needled up candy. It's never been reported that random people gave to random trick-or-treaters. This is very specific why I'm saying this. Candy like this. Paco, you had this happen when you were a kid, right? Parents check your candy?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Razor blades, needles, crack cocaine.
Especially grow up in the 80s. Yeah. Hell yeah. 80s and 90s. And M in chat, you can testify, you looked. And again, you guys, you've been here long enough, for almost 2 years, and you know that M is my mom. And she's awesome. And she's one of the main reasons to do the show. And it's been really great. But always my parents check my candy. Because at one time, again, all stories come with a little bit of truth. All urban legends, all tall tales. There has to be some truth there, or it wouldn't be a thing, right?
I would believe so. I mean, that's kind of how stereotypes work, too,
We're not doing that. Bridget in chat says the Tylenol killings are a perfect example of how the candy thing can happen. Absolutely, Bridget. And we will do a show about that, actually, now that you said that. Bridget, instead of getting in chat and saying, hey, I'm going to mention something, why don't you just say, hey, talk about this, and we'll just do it. Just email us.
Or
the email.
Or just fly over here and come on the show.
Hang out.
And just be a part of the show.
Yeah, and do free surgery for us and stuff.
Exactly.
I got things wrong with me. You can fix it. You're a doctor.
Right. Which, by the way, do you take my insurance plan?
It's Vanishing Gates Insurance. All you do is say, hey, we love Bridget. Problem solved. So,
to fly out to Florida for invasive surgery.
So one of the newer things that people are, I've seen this meme going around that parents watch out for these candy gummy bear things because there's edibles. And if you guys know what edibles are, you're probably from here. If you don't know what edibles are, edibles. Hey Paco, explain edibles.
An edible is a piece of candy or fruit that is made with cannabis oil butter, and it gets you really high.
Apparently. Jay, who's definitely allergic to marijuanas, Evan Chat says, what's wrong with you? You cannot be fixed. What?
Thanks, Sam.
True.
I appreciate it.
Love you too, Mom. So edibles are basically cannabinoid oils baked into goods, gummy bears and whatnot. And now that pot's legal in California, now the big thing going out the meme is watch out for your kids are getting, because there's edibles in it. First of all, fucking no one is giving away edibles to trick-or-treaters. Legal or not. No one is giving away their edibles. Calm yourself. It's not a thing that's happening. I know too many potheads. I know too many guys that love dope. No one's giving away their edibles. It's not a thing. Even creepy people. That said, now that I said I'm allergic to it, I'm going to stop eating homemade gummy bears because someone's going to try to kill me. I don't know what the price of edibles are. I haven't been to the pot shop locally because, again, don't do it. I got to piss clean every time. Plus, I'll die. Whatever. But I'm interested in the entire, how you make it, the process of things. It's just how I am. So, that said, though, we have two worlds colliding, though, in this story. We talked about Bloody Mary, Mary Worth, and the Candyman. And the Candyman and the tainted candy come into effect now in a very, very serious way, a very sad and unfortunate way, and also a very questionable outcome. The poison candy thing in the Candyman. On Halloween in 1974, in Deer Park, Texas, an 8-year-old named Timothy O'Brien went trick-or-treating. And when he was done, he asked his dad for a piece of candy. Asked his dad. I can't even speak anymore. Asked his dad for a piece of candy. And his dad gave him a pixie stick. take with him to bed, or to have before bed. First of all, red flag for me. I don't know if you guys remember these pixie sticks. They were like this. I'm not talking about little tiny paper ones. These were fucking 21-inch giant-ass pixie sticks. It's basically sugar and flavor. It's basically Kool-Aid and sugar in a pouch. A hard plastic pouch. And
good stuff, you know?
You don't go to sleep once you have pixie sticks. It's not a thing. You don't give that to a kid before bed. So that's red flag number 1 for me. But it does get a little different. So Timothy, he was 8, man. And he ate this pixie stick. He complained that it tasted kind of bitter. And shortly after 80, he started getting really, really sick. I don't want to get into too much detail. But he ended up dying. His dad took him to the hospital and whatnot. And he died of potassium cyanide poisoning. Cyanide's a very bitter taste, apparently, from what I've heard. And so it makes a little sense with what he was saying. But so this is bugging me a little bit, guys. Sorry, give me a second. Paco, say something funny.
I don't really have anything funny to say. You know, I mean, you've kind of taken us down a rabbit hole that's it's hard to get out of here. And if I had another story like I was planning on to, I'd just tell another funny story. But
all right, so, well, Timothy's dad, Ronald Clark O'Brien, he was found guilty of the crime. He did it, is what everybody found. They'd gone trick-or-treating. He'd gone with a neighbor and their 2 kids, as well as his 2 children, his son, Timothy, and his daughter. And went trick-or-treating. The kids knocked on a house, supposedly. And they kept going on. And then Ronald showed up a little bit later after he caught up with them. And he said, hey, someone with a hairy arm gave me these 5 pixie sticks. And he gave 4 pixie sticks out. His son, his daughter, his neighbor's kids. And then some 10-year-old kid that he found walked around. He knows from his church because I was very involved in his church. And he gave that kid a pixie stick too. And yeah. It's fucked up because he wasn't a suspect until after Timothy died. They did the autopsy, I guess, really quick, or blood test or whatever, and they found that he died from, this kind of poisoning, from cyanide poisoning. And then they tested the candy, and it actually freaked the entire area out. People were freaking out over the candy bags. They were bringing the candy bags to the police station. This is the man that ruined Halloween, is what people knew him as at one point. It was a big freak out, totally understandably a big freak out. None of the other kids were hurt by this. The police gathered together, like they decided, they did the test. They found that it came from the pixie sticks because they gathered the candy from the other kids, the other 4 kids. And the 5th kid, they freaked out really hard from because his parents were freaking out hearing the candy might be part of it. And they ran upstairs to his bedroom or wherever, or to his bedroom, and he was asleep. And he was clutching the pixie stick, according to the source I read. Now, this also could be an urban legend. This could be an offshoot urban legend. But he was holding the pixie stick because he couldn't open it. And that's the thing about pixie sticks. They were really hard to open. And so, hella hard to open, man. But Ronald helped Timothy open his pixie stick and gave it to him. They found doses of pixie stick that would have killed me 3 times over in Timothy's pixie stick. They found more doses in the other pixie sticks. The theory is that Ronald had dosed up because he was way into debt and couldn't pay any of his damn bills, and he had taken life insurance policies out. Well, the life insurance policy for Timothy was like $100,000. And I don't know. The thought is that he gave the other kids the tainted pixie sticks to, make it cover his tracks or whatnot. Yeah. Now, for me, it's kind of questionable. I watched a show called a documentary, guys, on Netflix. It's really good. It's called, I think, Killer Legends. They talk about the hook hand thing, and they talk about this, and it's really interesting. But there's some things that don't really make sense to me. But that's just me being a speculative person. But when you watch the Phil Donahue interview with this guy, and he mentions, hey, they call you the Candyman, which, by the way, was a term coined by the media that Donahue said was coined by his cellmates or the people in jail with him. And the guy just kind of has a weird look on his face, like Now, the guy had a really hard time keeping a job. He had like 21 or 22 jobs or something, they said. But he was an optometrist or something like that. He had the ability to keep a job. So it's weird. This is a really weird situation because we don't know and we won't know. Now, he was sentenced to death by lethal injection. And, yeah, he met his fate on... I think I wrote it down. Didn't write it down.
All those notes, so you couldn't even write a date down.
The one thing I needed to do was write his notes down.
You had one job, Jay.
I know. Now, I watched that Killer Legends thing, and they have it wrong. He was sentenced to death on October 31st one year, but he didn't do that. They sentenced him, he died actually on like a March 31st or something, the following year after that or whatnot, because he had some appeals going on. But he went to his death proclaiming his innocence, which is a really strange thing. So I don't know. I mean, his last words were something to the effect of, he was like asking God, or telling everyone he forgave them for being involved, and asking God to forgive those who wrongly accused him. So we don't know. Now, here's the thing. The house that he was saying that he got the Pixie Sticks from, he said he knocked after the kids left, and the door opened slightly, and a hairy arm came out and handed these 5 Pixie Sticks. Well, that arm was that house was owned by an air traffic controller, and he had like 200 people. The air traffic controller had 200 people to back up his whereabouts. So, what's the question? Was the guy in the house not the air traffic controller, or was this guy just trying to get money from his kid's death and trying to kill other kids for the sake of covering his tracks? So this urban legend actually did come from something that happened, unfortunately. Right. And it's frightening to think about. And it's also very unsettling to know that we don't know actually what happened.
Most definitely.
So...
Yeah, but there is something we can take away from all this.
Don't eat candy?
Make sure that when you take your kids out trick-or-treating, make sure you eat all of their candy, so, you know.
So you're the one that dies?
Stop.
Well, you better eat the dead one, the kill you one first, otherwise they... But that said, like...
The killer one last. At least you have diabetes before you die, you know?
I mean, that said, like, I'm not going to lie, I still check my kids' candy, knowing that these stories are probably totally unrealistic, and there's no real evidence to support that it ever happened to strangers and whatnot, aside from this one guy at one time. But I know people.
You know, I mean, there's been a lot of stories in the news about, you know, razor blades being found in, you know, Hershey bars and Snicker bars and stuff like that, you know, and you know, we grew up with our parents checking our candy, you know, and so, I mean, to be able to keep that going, it's just a safe precaution for parents to do, and I think it's a great idea, and it should always be continued to do so. Because you're getting food from random people, you know?
I like this. Bridget says, my father would always sample our candy. Here's what I do with the candy, on a lighter note. I check the candy very thoroughly, because I always grew up having my candy checked. As weird as that sounds. That was... not the best way to say that. But I do go through every piece of candy, and I check the wrappers and whatnot. And then I teach my children about taxation and government by extracting the current tax rate worth of candy. Because I'm the government. And I like Reese's. So on a much lighter note, but no, always check your candy, because you never know, because there's some weird, we have these stories for a reason. These stories exist to warn us about the dangers of the world. And they are based on reality. And that's a frightening prospect. You think about it. Like, there's some sick freaking people. You know, there's guys that, like, are the face of a national food chain that lost weight eating sandwiches that want to touch kids. Like, it's a weird thing. We got guys that we grew up with on television that like to sell pudding, that will dose you and take advantage of you. It's Red Riding Hood all over, guys. So my advice is be very careful. These urban legends, though they may not be totally accurate, may not be true to form all the way, they're there for a reason. I heard somebody say once that we exist now as a people because we are the group of people that when we saw something bad happening, we fled. We left the super chaos. And you put that up with the Göbekli Tepe thing, and the first city in the world, or the first congregational place in the world, we came together to do a few things. Like, we came together to survive and know our surroundings. And if you don't do that, if you're not aware, if you're not frosty, if you're not staying zero, you might have a very big problem. I'm just saying, you know. Now, we can't account for, like, our hearts just stopping or having an aneurysm. We can work on that, and we can eat here and there. We can do tither and thither. But what we can't do is fix that directly. What we can do is be very aware of our surroundings. In my life of studying martial science and how people interact and trying to be safe and aware of my surroundings and be careful, I can do things. I can, if I see something violent, or what I would think is something violent happening or going to happen, I can walk across the street and go a different direction for someone that might be a violent person. I can remove myself from situations where violence will happen, where I perceive violence will happen. Be aware of your surroundings. Be careful of your surroundings. I think that's what overall fairy tales and urban legends teach us. I could be totally wrong, but that's just my thought.
Right. Most definitely. You know, next time you walk in to rob a bank, make sure it says Wells Fargo on it.
Absolutely, and not Sperm Bank or the Republican J, because it won't taste like vanilla.
So next week we're going to come out with a whole new set of stories.
Yeah, next week we'll have our second part of this wonderful series of urban legends. And guys, let me know if there's urban legends that you want us to cover. Email me, vanishinggates@gmail.com, and we will cover whatever. Paco's kissing his dog now. Hi, Blair. Email us at vanishinggates@gmail.com. I will gladly look at what you have urban legend-wise and take that and be part of the show with it. It'd be great. I think it'd be a really fun topic. Because I have a bunch to do and want to look over. It's hard to find, like... We tried to have some levity here with me doing the darker, more sinister stories and Paco doing the more funny, uplifting. So, whatever it is, let us know at vanishinggates@gmail.com the urban legend you want us to cover next week. And
so 2 G's.
Yeah, Vanishing Gates, 2 G's. You guys know this. And let me know about if you guys can find the iTunes thing or the Stitcher thing. People are having trouble finding those, so I have to get a hold of, iTunes and whatnot and Stitcher and see why the episodes aren't showing up for you guys. Again, email me at vanishinggates@gmail.com. If there's a future story you want us to cover, let us know too. Same thing.
Make sure you guys like, follow, share, subscribe to Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
And on YouTube, make sure you click the little bell so you can get the notifications for live. And tell your friends about us. Make sure you guys are taking out the word, and letting people know that we're here to, have a good time, and that we want to share the wealth. And once we hit 500 likes and follows on Facebook, I am getting T-shirts made, special T-shirts from Vanishing Gates, the first T-shirts to be made for Vanishing Gates.
Because I've been way too lazy to finish them.
And we'll get those raffled out between. Do some sort of raffle with all the followers that we have, and we'll do multiple shirts. It's not going to just be like one shirt for like 500 people. That just seems ridiculous. It's we're not the nationwide lotto over here. So we'll make sure to do a couple of shirts and get those out, and have fun with it. And we appreciate you guys for tuning in and following us. Like Jay had said, it's been almost 2 years. It's just right around the bend. We got a couple more months to go, and we just thank you all for staying with us for this long and being a part of the Vanishing Gates family.
Yep, January 30th, I think is 2 years.
I can't believe it's right around the corner like that.
It's so close. Now, I also want to mention I do have a second podcast I've been recording with Matthew Brockmeyer, the humble lycanthrope who was on the show last week. It's a secondary thing. It's about... Well, I'm not going to go there. We'll announce it when it's ready. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be dark. Very, very dark. Much darker than Vanishing Gates, if you can imagine that. Much darker. But also
it's
fun.
more professional than Vanishing Gates.
No, we don't. We're professional. What do I look like? I'm not Dave Schrader. I'm not Jim Harold. I'm not professional. Screw that. So now there may be a schedule change on the live streams because I am changing careers. Sadly, I can't just do podcasting and live streams for a living. But I'm looking at another job. I start that in a week. So the schedule might change. I will keep you guys informed. So stay followed. Make sure there's a thing you can do on Facebook where you can actually see what I post and enjoy that more. So do that. That'd be super dope. I appreciate it. All right, guys. So we are, culminating this episode. Thank you guys all for watching and chat. It's been really fun. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. As El Paco said. El Paco. I don't know why I added that.
El Paco! Oh, jeez.
But guys, thanks again. I mean, this is just the greatest thing I've ever done is talking to you guys and talking about crazy stuff. So, Halloween season, the season of miracles is upon us. So, don't forget, next weekend we will be doing, Saturday night, 8 o'clock, part 2 of Urban Legends for Vanishing Gates. Well, I'm Jay, and I heard a rumor Jack might be back. So,
Jack coming back.
If his schedule works out. If not, we'll do a non-Saturday show with Jack. All right, guys. Thanks again. I'm Jay. That's
I'm Paco, you guys.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. Thank you very, very much.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye. Still trying to figure this out.